the practice of eating dog meat in some parts of Asia. The World Dog Alliance is shining a spotlight on the hidden truth of dog meat consumption throughout Asia, especially in Vietnam. Reportedly, more than 80% of the population of Vietnam consumes dog meat, with dogs being killed, burned, and grilled in open areas as well as restaurants. Some restaurants even emphasize the idea that eating dog meat can change your fate, with dog meat often being served as a traditional dish. The dogs are put in tiny cages where they suffer from overheating, hunger, and dehydration, and are transported to different regions across Vietnam. Upon arriving at the slaughterhouse, the organization says dogs are force-fed to fatten them up, while dog meat traders hold the dogs down with a clamp while doing so. Locals even believe that the quality of the dog meat is better if the dog was miserable before dying. The high demand of dog meat is a result of the Vietnamese belief that dog meat is rich in protein and eating tough meat makes a tough man. The trade is lucrative in Vietnam because of high profits stemming from high demand. Dog traders can purchase a dog in Thailand for $5 to $7 and sell it in Vietnam for $100. However, because dog meat is so popular, dog traders often resort to stealing pets, street dogs, or even smuggling dogs in Vietnam or from other neighboring countries for a profit. This is a very pressing issue regarding the abuse and torture of these canines. Unfortunately, YouTube often chooses to demonetize videos highlighting such atrocities, which ultimately does not help in shining a light on this issue, as creators will then shy away from such topics. The World Dog Alliance claims it is the only organization dedicated to explicit legislation against dog meat worldwide, and says it is working to expose the true nature and cruelty of the dog meat trade across the world. More controversial animal stories.
China's controversial dog meat festival angers activists. In celebration of the summer solstice, locals in Yulin, China hold a festival where it's customary to eat dog meat and lychee fruit. Animal rights activists in China and around the world are speaking out about the treatment of the dogs before they are prepared for lunch or dinner. Most of the trade during the festival, which tallies to around 10,000 dogs, is reportedly illegal, with little to no regulations governing the conditions the animals are kept in. Local traditions related to eating dog meat date back to around 500 years ago, and dog meat is reputed to help people beat the summer heat. Controversy surrounding the festival and the practice of eating dogs includes the fact that some of the dogs are kidnapped pets that are then sold illegally. Also, the Chinese government is facing more pressure from international animal rights activists to put a stop to the festival. Some activists even spend money to buy dogs directly from the market in a bid to rescue them from being boiled or barbecued and served up for dinner. So what do you think? Is the dog meat festival any worse than eating turkey every year for Thanksgiving? If you think dog meat isn't palatable, they also have cat meat for sale in Yulin.
One man's best friend is another man's dinner. This picture, which has been making the rounds on social media recently, shows the heart-shattering moment a 5-year-old girl finds her dog that's been missing for several days. According to China's People's Daily Online, the little girl had raised the dog, which was named Flower, in a rural part of northern Vietnam. For 3 years, the two were together until one day, her dog went missing. She searched for Flower for several days. Nothing could prepare the little girl for what came next, and no therapy will ever reverse the impact of spotting your beloved pet dead, roasted, and available for sale. Canine cuisine is still very popular in parts of Vietnam, South Korea, and China. It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your dog is?
Activists urge China's Yulin Dog Meat Festival to be banned. The Chinese city of Yulin is known for its annual Dog Meat Festival, which usually falls on the summer solstice. Up to 10,000 dogs are consumed by the locals during the event. The dogs are often slaughtered in public, right in front of the other dogs waiting to be killed. Locals would eat the dog meat with lychee because apparently eating the two together can help people get through the hot and humid summer weather. Some provinces in China, such as Guangxi, Guizhou, Jilin, and Guangdong, do have a historic tradition of consuming dog meat, mostly because pork or beef were scarce back in the old days. However, the dog meat eating habit only turned into a festival in Yulin in the late 1990s. It was promoted by the local catering industry as a way to boost tourism. To ensure the abundant supply of dog meat, many vendors resort to stealing pet dogs. Some of the dogs being slaughtered are often still wearing collars, breaking the hearts of many dog lovers. Yulin government said they have never officially supported the festival and promised to ban public slaughter. However, it did not stop this despicable act from happening. Most Chinese citizens consider the festival to be inhumane and urge Yulin locals to stop eating dog meat, with many sharing heartwarming stories such as this one: a dog saved the life of an abandoned baby. Meanwhile, some Chinese people claim there isn't a dog meat festival in Yulin, that it was only made up by the media. Others claim that dog keepers should watch their dogs more closely so that they don't get eaten by people.
Pet owner to press charges after her dog dies at a grooming store. Colby was a good boy. Yes, he was. But this poor doggy suffered an awful fate on Friday. Colby was essentially baked alive. Virginia resident Allison Marks dropped off her 2-year-old golden retriever at a Petco grooming center in Chesterfield County on Friday. Colby was only supposed to get a quick wash, but as the hours wore on, Allison started wondering why she hadn't gotten a call. Unfortunately, when the call did come, it was bad news. The Petco store manager informed Allison that her beloved dog had been left in a drying cage for too long and had overheated and died. The drying cages are supposed to switch off automatically after 15 minutes, but somehow something went terribly wrong. A vet said Colby died of heat stroke. The store manager said Colby's groomer left early as she had to attend a graduation party, but it's unknown if human error or mechanical failure contributed to Colby's death. Allison said the shop staff were kind and sympathetic, however she plans to pursue charges against the store in order to get justice for her beloved pet. What do you think? Unfortunate accident or criminal negligence?
Chinese netizens blocked truck carrying 320 dogs to slaughter. When it comes to the treatment of dogs in China, many stories shared with the general public often inspire anger and a loss of faith in humanity. But this tale of 320 dogs on a truck bound for slaughter in Yulin, China's second largest dog meat market, inspires quite the contrary. As the truck was driving through Qinhuangdao on July 23rd, with the dogs crammed together for at least 12 hours in hot conditions without food or water, activists spotted the vehicle and quickly coordinated a plan with local netizens to tail the truck and call in the police. Eating dog meat is legal in China, but health certificates must be issued for each animal to be slaughtered upon request. When the police asked the truck driver to present the documents, none were available, and so the dogs were released into the hands of activist group China Animal Protection Power. Now in a treatment facility receiving medical care, these pups will soon be put up for adoption in the coming days. While this happy ending may be satisfying, it's also a reminder of the 10 million dogs slaughtered for their meat every year in China that aren't as lucky, and the work left to be done for the world to come to their aid. Dog discarded at meat market gets second chance and prosthetic legs. At first glance, this 2-year-old golden retriever mix, Chi-Chi, looks as happy a dog as you might ever see. But her good nature and lovable smile don't reveal a hint of the horrors she's endured over her short life. Young Chi-Chi was the victim of unimaginable cruelty from the time she was born, slated to become one of the reported 2.5 million dogs slaughtered annually in South Korea's underground dog meat trade, where there are no laws or regulations requiring the humane slaughter of dogs for meat. Every day, she was hung upside down, her legs bound by ropes and wires, and beaten by handlers, under the belief that a dog's meat is more tender when tortured. At some point, Chi-Chi's keepers realized that the bindings around her legs had cut through her flesh, causing parts of her body to become grossly infected. They came to the conclusion that her meat would likely be too rancid for human consumption, and disposed of her in a dumpster behind the meat market shortly afterward. Still alive. Scared and alone, Chi-Chi was later found by a group of Good Samaritans who immediately contacted an animal rescue organization willing to help the dog in noticeable distress. The rescue team then gathered her up and rushed her to an emergency veterinary clinic. There, doctors diagnosed that her 4 legs had indeed rotted to the bone, the infection spreading to the rest of her body. If she was to have any chance at survival, Chi-Chi would have to undergo a quadruple amputation procedure, effectively cutting off the infection, but consequently leaving her with mere stubs for paws. Though the surgery was successful, It was anyone's guess as to how Chi-Chi might adapt, both physically and emotionally, after all the trauma she'd been through. But this resilient pup, whose name translated means loving, proved to be a fighter like the world has maybe never seen. ARM, the Los Angeles-based animal welfare group who saved Chi-Chi, reports that the day after her surgery, she was wagging her tail and already attempting to walk. A couple days later, remarkably, she was somehow managing to get around on her stumps. Demonstrating she could be a good candidate for prosthetics, Chi-Chi was fitted with 4 new legs and spent the following 2 months getting used to her new footing. It may not have been easy, but she sure made it look that way, running around on her prosthetic paws, chasing balls with reckless abandon like any normal dog would. Through social media and news coverage, her inspiring story caught the attention of the world, in particular a family in Arizona. The Howells, who have 3 dogs already, reached out to ARM to complete Chi-Chi's journey and offer her a loving home. When she was deemed ready, Chi-Chi was flown 6,000 miles from Seoul all the way to LA, where her rescuers and her new family picked her up and brought her to her new home in Phoenix this past week. The Howells say she still has a long road of rehab and recovery ahead of her, and it may not always be a walk in the park. But despite her physical limitations and psychological trauma, they say Chi-Chi appears boundless in her enthusiasm for life. It's hoped her story of being able to forgive and continue to smile in the face of adversity will act as a lesson to people everywhere about how to journey onwards and keep moving forward, one step at a time.